Welcome back for Rock and Bear for Week 8. How was your week last week, Rock?
It was fine. You had more wins, but I picked more dogs.
Sure, that's fair. I mean,
So,
8-6, 10-4.
yeah.
I mean, pretty close week. You know,
Alrighty.
a game or two could have gone a different way, and to each his own.
Yes,
Starting
sir.
us off this week, we got Washington going to see Minnesota. Minnesota should cook Washington, pun intended.
That's the
Cook-
running back, yeah.
Dalvin Cook's going to be able to run all over Washington. Washington only kept it close last week because of the rain. Minnesota's going to win by at least 14. Rock, what do you think?
Well, this is a weird game. Adrian Peterson coming back to Minnesota. Case Keenum coming back to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins leaving Washington. So, there's going to be... Thielen's probably out, but I don't think Washington has much. I also have Minnesota to win, and it's a pretty large spread, but I'm taking them to cover also.
Alrighty, so we're the same on that one. We got the next game. We got Seattle going to see Atlanta. A battle of the birds, per se. I think Russ is going to bounce back after that disappointing loss to Baltimore. He doesn't lose 2 in a row. He got stopped last week, but I think that was more of a fluke than a kind of vision of his body of work this season. Atlanta, I think they're done. They got rid of Sanu. They're kind of thinking about next year already, in my opinion. So I'm
I
taking
agree with
Seattle,
that.
Rock. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, hey, we might see Matt Shaw, who hasn't played in 2 years. Last week, Matty was crushed ice. I think Seattle bounces back, and I think with Metcalf and the other touchdown guy in the corner, whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know you're talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm blinking on the name.
I think Seattle wins this one big. It's a really low line, too, which will probably change when they say Matt Ryan's not going to play.
Sure.
Alrighty.
All right, moving on to a team that had another disappointing loss last week. The Chargers going to see Chicago. Chicago, I'm calling them the Boo Bears. I'm unimpressed by the offense. They have tools, but they don't have the technique or the efficiency to get things done when it really counts. Trubisky looked okay in the garbage time, but I think Saints defense already quit at that point. I'm taking the Chargers to have a comeback and kind of get riled up towards the end of the season to keep it interesting. Rock, what do you think?
Well, Bear, I tell you what, the Bears have some good offensive players, just not Trubinsky.
Right.
All right. People commented, well, they only ran the ball 7 times. It's pretty hard to run against the Saints.
Yep.
And I like. The Bears are actually, or they were a 5.5-point favorite, which is kind of a joke. I like the Chargers to win outright, and I like. Oh, by the way, the reason the Bears weren't very good on defense, Hicks is out.
Yep.
He's out for the year,
Yep.
and that has a lot to do with Malik
Yep.
not doing what he's supposed to do. Teddy Bridgewater had all day.
Yep.
Almost the whole game, he had all day.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Could have made a sandwich in the pocket. Arizona going to see New Orleans. Arizona's won 3 in a row. New Orleans has looked really good with Teddy. I think if I'm Sean Payton, I stick with Teddy. I let him go ahead, finish this week out, get to the bye, and then let him fight it out and see who the better quarterback is to kind of stick with the team because they're hot right now and they don't want to put that fire out. I'm taking New Orleans at home. The defense is too good. Coaching's too smart. Rock, what do you think?
Well, New Orleans is 9.5-point favorite, and you're right. Arizona's won 3 in a row. Kyler Murray has rushed for 500 yards in the last 3 games. He's one of the leading rushers in the last 3 games. Now, that said, in my opinion, last week when they played the Bears, Jared Cook didn't play, Kamara didn't play, the Drew Brees didn't play. I'd rest them all.
Yep.
They got a bye next week. They should be able to beat these guys. 9.5 without playing these guys might be a stretch.
Sure.
But I'm taking New Orleans, and I'm not going to pick a cover because they might just kill them.
Okay, it could actually go either way. I agree with you. So the Jets, they got embarrassed last week. I think they're going to go to Jacksonville with a chip on their shoulder. They have a good defense. That's been true all season. But I don't think they have the best ball security. So I think that's going to give Jacksonville... Jackson's back. Fournette's hot. They're going to win the turnover game. They're going to run the ball well at home. I'm taking Jax. Rock, what do you think?
Jax is still in the wild card race.
Yep.
The Jets absolutely have nothing to play for.
Sure.
And they're on the road. And like I said, the second AFC wild card is up for grabs. Jax is still in there. I mean, they shouldn't have lost last week.
They won last week.
I'm sorry.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I'm taking Jacksonville to win that game, and cover the spread.
Alrighty, moving on. Another team that got embarrassed is Philadelphia. They're going to see Buffalo. I think Philly's going to have. It's going to be rough and buff for Philly.
Good.
Carson Wentz hasn't looked the same. Zach Ertz is going to get shut down by Buffalo's defense. They play really well against tight ends. Buff's going to be tough and Buff at home. I'm taking Buff. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. This is it for the Eagles. Going to 3-5, which there's no wild card there other than Minnesota, Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, who else is there? Maybe the Rams. Anyway, that said, the Cowboys look really good against Philly because they were healthy.
Yep.
I've got these guys misjudged. They're going to win that division and probably win a playoff game. With all that said, I'm going with Buffalo, even though Miami put up a lot of numbers, 7 more first downs, so on and so forth.
Sure.
But Philly, they just, Deshaun Jackson's not there, so they've got Ertz, and you said something about, covering the tight ends. So, yeah, I'm going to take, that's only a 2-point line. I'm taking Buffalo and loading up on the spread.
Already moving on to a team that's coming off a bye is Tampa Bay. They're going to see Tennessee. Tennessee got probably a lucky win against the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee, or should I call him Tennessee? Tannehill looks like a different quarterback than Tennessee's been used to. I don't think that's enough. Tampa's going to stop the run. They're going to force Tannehill to beat him, which I don't think is going to happen. Tampa Bay on the road, Rock. What do you
Well,
think?
they're also coming off a bye week.
Yep.
And Tennessee, they're still in it at 3-4. They're at home. Tannehill, I just don't like Jameis. He's just not consistent.
Yep.
And Tennessee's defense is pretty good, so I'm going to take Tennessee.
Alrighty, so we got a different game there.
Yes, sir.
Headed on to the next one, we got Cincinnati going to see the Rams. I think Cincinnati's only chance is if they get 4 sacks and 2 turnovers. I think Rams are clicking. Their defense has improved. I'm taking them at home, even though it's a game in London. We'll call it a home game for the Rams, Brock. I'm taking Rams. What do you think?
Well, you got to take the Rams. Gurley was held for 54 yards from scrimmage last week versus Atlanta. You mentioned that they've got a pretty good defense, but Cincinnati doesn't. And yes, the Rams covered the 13.
Yeah, not much to say about that one.
Yeah.
We got Denver going to Indy. I think Indy's for real. Brissett's looked like a stud. Mac's been reliable. He got shut down last week, but I think that was just part of the game plan to give Brissett the chance to air it out. I'm taking Indy at home big time. What do you think?
Well, that's 6.5, and they're playing against Joe Flacco, or we could call him Joe Sacco after 9 sacks last week.
Yep.
He's got no wheels. Indy beat Houston. They had great stats. Houston had 2 picks in the fourth quarter, which kind of cost them. They had some shady penalties. But still, that said, Indianapolis looks like they're going to be competing with Houston, obviously. The AFC is kind of up for grabs for that last spot. And certainly, Indy wins this game outright, and they cover the 6.5.
Alrighty, we're on the same page. We got Jones leading the Giants down to Detroit. Detroit, they have the chip on their shoulder. The penalty game still kind of lingering in their minds. They're able to put up some points. Kerryon Johnson's out. Barkley's back, so the running game might be one-sided for the Giants, but I think Detroit's going to take the game. They're going to be able to get 30 points against the Giants at least. I'm taking Detroit at home, Rock. What do you think?
Yeah, I got to go the same way, primarily because this is it for Detroit. If they go 2-4-1, that's out. If they're 3-3-1, they're going to have a really great second half, which is possible. So I'm taking Detroit. That's a 7-point line. They're going to cover.
Alrighty. Probably the game of the week. We got Carolina going to see San Francisco. McCaffrey's looked good. He's got 900 plus yards going on his way to 1,000. I think the game, can they stop San Francisco? I think Jimmy G is going to have a comeback. The offense is going to be better with Sanders, giving them another deep threat. Bosa is going to get them riled up and get after Allen. I'm taking San Francisco, Rock. What do you think?
Well, I tell you what, this is going to be a great game. McCaffrey's good. Remember, there's Josh Allen. He's 4-0. He's undefeated. So is San Francisco. He's got the best quarterback rating under pressure in football.
All right.
Which really going to tell you something.
He's going to see the pressure.
Greg Olson's going to have a big game. Eric Reed it reminds me of Seattle. Eric Reed was with the 49ers for a number of years. He's back in Carolina. I'm going with the Big U this week. That was bad luck with the Jets, by the way. I'm going with the Big U. Carolina.
Carolina's been tough, that's
You
for
can't
sure.
stay undefeated forever. I mean,
Right.
but yeah, I'm taking Carolina outright.
All right, I don't think a loss is in the cards this week, but we'll see. Oakland going to see Houston. Houston's mad after the Indy loss. I think Watson's going to be able to air it out against Oakland because they can't get any pressure. They're 32nd in the NFL in pressure only 14% of the time. They're making the quarterback sweat. So I think that's going to be a field day for Watson. Rock, what do you think?
Well, the Raiders rushed for 155 yards. They threw for 329 at Green Bay. That game was not iced.
Sure.
That was not like Green Bay gave up. The Raiders looked pretty good. Houston has to win. They're at home.
Yep.
So they will win. Will they cover the 6.5? I think it's going to be closer than that. So
Alrighty.
I would take the Raiders to cover, but Houston to win.
Sure, 2 good games in a row. A game that might not be so good. I think Cleveland's going to need some magic to pull out the upset in Foxborough. Cleveland has the most turnovers. New England has the best turnover differential. I think that says enough. I think New England's going to say "Sanu you later" to the Browns, and we should see some exciting gameplay. New England by 14. Rock, what do you
This will
think?
be over by the end of the first half.
All right.
And who's the biggest disappointment this year? Weren't people talking about Cleveland in the Super Bowl? I mean, Freddie Kitchens can't coach. I mean, he's got Chubb, he's got Landry, he's got Odell Beckham. The defense is a little bit shaky, and Mayfield's completing 49% of his passes out of the pocket, which you think he'd be doing a lot better than that. He's so short. He's had a lot of batted balls, a lot of picks. This will be over at halftime.
Alrighty. I got the Sunday night game, another big game at Arrowhead. Green Bay is feeling hot after Aaron Rodgers' perfect game with 5 touchdowns in the air and 1 on the ground. Kansas City, I think without Pat, might be splat dead at home. The defense is too soft for Aaron Rodgers not to get a win here. I'm taking Green Bay on the road. Rock, what do you think?
Well, once again, as I picked Carolina, here's the deal. Matt Moore's had a whole week.
Sure.
And Sammy Watkins is back. That gives them Kelsey, Watkins, and Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
All right? Now, remember the Packers gave up 324 yards at home versus Oakland.
Sure.
Now, is Matt Moore as good as Carr? He might be with a whole week's practice. And they've got a pretty nice running back in LaShawn McCoy.
Yep.
Plus, it's loud there. All right?
It's one of the biggest stadiums.
Upset
Kansas City. It could
Kansas
go
City.
either way. I think
Jesus in my heart, I'm pulling for the Packers, but they're going to win the division, although Minnesota's right behind them.
Yep.
But I'm taking Kansas City to win outright just because I love the Dogs.
All right, dog day. A team that is a dog I don't think is going to go to win is Miami. They showed some life last week. They had some good production. I think, Buffalo maybe wrote them off and didn't really maybe get prepared all the way. Pittsburgh, I think, is going to go ahead and go 18 consecutive wins at home on Monday night, keeping up with the tradition since 1992. I think they're taking another win. Pittsburgh at home. Rock, what do you think?
Well, this is a tough call. Pittsburgh had a bye, and Rudolph should be ready, and they're at home. Plus, like you said, their Monday night record's pretty impressive.
Yep.
All that said, Miami was at Buffalo, which is a tough place to play. Was 24-21, and it was close the whole game. And what happened was, the old bearded one, Fitzpatrick, had a good game.
Sure.
But Buffalo runs back a kickoff with 1:46 left. Should have been a much closer game if they stop Buffalo, they get the ball back, and they have a chance of winning. They got to win one sooner or later.
Yeah.
But this isn't it. Pittsburgh wins it.
This ain't it.
Oh, but wait, it's 14.5. I jumped Miami at 14.5. That's just too many.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh is only going to win by a touchdown.
Yeah, that looks like a 7 to 10 point game.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for tuning in this week. Let's go ahead and make your picks down below so we can see how we do against our picks. Comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more of our content. Tune in next week for Week 9 on What Do You Think? Rock and Behr signing out.
Signing out, just one thing about the biggest disappointments: Cleveland, San Diego, Denver, and the Bears. The biggest teams are the Colts, New Orleans with Teddy, and Carolina with their quarterback, Josh Allen.
Allen, for sure.
Yeah.
Both teams look good.
Those are surprises. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.